stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it! Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power! Fight the power!
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
Protests and anthems, yes, we chanting. A movement of people, it's like we dancing to the ministry of. It's the energy of, in memory of them that we love. The trinity of the people, the peace, the power, the truth. We speak the powers even louder. We can say it blacker, we can say it prouder. A woman vice president that went to Howard. Now we talk helping black businesses, and our differences is magnificent. Bringing light to the point where the prisons is. I was told good life is where forgiveness lives. The ascension is to leave what's left behind and feed the seeds with deeds that bless the mind, caress the mind, and question justify with you and God in time my best align.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
How can I be a better father, son, a better grandson, honoring Fannie Lou's and the Fred Hamptons, the Harriets, the chariots that carry us to various areas that marry us to progress. Yeah, we the harvest, the lovely days and midnight marauders, even through charges and days of darkness. No, we in the hands of the greatest artists. I see it in the waters, I see it in our daughters. They can be bridges that know no borders. For so long, them folks try to ignore us. So we at the ballot boxes to vote for us. Peace to Stacey and the people of Georgia who galvanize so that we can move forward. Steps are ordered with the presence of mind. Everything's more beautiful in time.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Corte, your host and White House correspondent in LA, enjoying a little vitamin D. Yeah, a little sunny D, not the type you get in the grocery store, but you get what I'm saying. The weather is lovely here, a nice dry heat for a change, as it is hot. It is hot in many parts of the country. I'll tell you where it's not hot. It's not hot in the San Francisco Bay Area where I was at the week before last. It turns out it's one of the chilliest summers on record for the Bay Area. And so no fun there. We hope it heats up so you all can enjoy some summer. And we'll keep our eye on that. I'm in touch until you be in touch. Follow me on all the social media platforms at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Just type in Dr. Nii-Q, DRNIIQ, and I pop right on up, fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app. Or I should say our new and improved KBLA app, because the functionality has stepped up. You know, you can always use the open mic feature to send me a voice note, and just might play your comment live on air. But last but not least, be sure to subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast. That way you'll never miss an episode. Earlier today, I'm not sure if you all saw this, but Mayor Karen Bass of Los Angeles put out a statement related to the passing of Wallace Annenberg. Now, I'm a USC alum. I went to the Annenberg School of Journalism and Communications. And so that experience has helped to shape me, and the Annenberg family had a part in that. And so shout out to the Annenberg family, sending our condolences. Mayor Bass said in her statement that this is a loss that resonates beyond words here in Los Angeles. Wallace Annenberg, her selfless leadership and visionary spirit transformed our city in profound and lasting ways. There are unhoused Angelenos sleeping inside because of her. There are young people throughout the city expanding their horizons and exposure to the arts and sciences in new and exciting ways because of her. There are institutions, museums, as well as public spaces like beaches and parks that are enhanced and improved because of her. And so, again, our condolences to the Annenberg family for the loss of Wallace Annenberg at the age of 86. All right, now it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. Kicking us off, the New York Times is reporting that a judge indefinitely blocks withholding of Medicaid funds to Planned Parenthood. That's right, a federal judge today indefinitely blocked the Trump administration from enforcing a policy that would prevent many Planned Parenthood clinics from receiving federal Medicaid reimbursements if they continue to offer abortion services. The order, which was issued by a federal judge in Massachusetts, extended a temporary block that she had placed on the government earlier this month. She found that the policy retaliated against Planned Parenthood in violation of its First Amendment rights and could amount to an unconstitutional legislative punishment. The lawsuit filed earlier this month came in response to a provision introduced in that sprawling policy bill that the president signed into law earlier this month. The bill imposed a one-year ban on state Medicaid payments to any healthcare nonprofit that offers abortion and received more than $800,000 in Medicaid funding in 2023. And so we're going to see how this thing shakes out in the courts. But for a lot of folks, particularly in rural communities where a Planned Parenthood may be the only health care that you have access to, those folks are paying close attention to it, and so are we. In other news, what will it cost to renovate that free Air Force One? You know, all this talk about the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell, and the cost overruns with the renovation of the Federal Reserve. Well, we've stopped talking about that Qatari plane. Remember the one that was donated to President Trump? Well, the New York Times is reporting that President Trump makes no secret of his displeasure over the cost of renovating the Federal Reserve headquarters, around $2.5 billion or even higher by the president's accounting, but getting the White House to discuss another one of Washington's expensive renovation projects, the cost of refurbishing a quote-unquote free Air Force One from Qatar. Well, it's quite another matter. Officially and conveniently, the price tag has been classified. Ain't that something? But even by Washington standards, where quote-unquote black budgets are often used as an excuse to avoid revealing the cost of an outdated spy satellite or a lavish end-of-year party, the techniques being used to hide the cost of President Trump's pet project, not just this pet project, but a number of pet projects, which may explain why no one wants to discuss a mysterious $934 million transfer of funds from one of the Pentagon's most over-budget, out-of-control projects, the modernization of America's aging ground-based nuclear missiles. So I'll just transfer this over here, and we'll call it classified. End of discussion. At least that's what they're hoping. But we and so many others are keeping our eye on this because this money doesn't belong to Trump. This money belongs to us, taxpayers. So we should know how any president is spending those taxpayer dollars. And speaking of presidents, our friend Jaron Keith Gaynor, White House correspondent for the Griot, in his latest reporting, is saying that Obama says that there's no justification for the starvation in Gaza and is calling for aid distribution. The former president condemned the increasing starvation of Palestinians in Gaza amid concerns of famine as Israel continues to decimate the Middle Eastern territory as a part of its nearly 2-year military operation. Obama shared news articles about growing starvation in Gaza, adding that they, quote, underscore the immediate need for action to be taken to prevent the travesty of innocent people dying of preventable starvation. The former president also called for a lasting resolution to the crisis in Gaza that includes the return of all hostages and cessation of Israel's military operation. Now, oddly enough, it seems that the former president, the current president, may agree at least a little bit. NBC News reporting that Trump says that there's a real starvation in Gaza and U.S. will set up food centers. The president said today this statement breaking with Israel as the U.S. ally faces intense pressures to lift restrictions on aid with hunger spreading in the besieged enclave. Now, that's temporary, but what's the lasting solution? We've also heard President Trump talk about creating the Middle East Riviera in Gaza. So is he just sort of saying what people want to hear? Or is he invested any more than he was before in a lasting solution? You be the judge of that. That's why we call this the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. You decide. When we come forward, we'll be joined with immigration lawyer and expert Allen Orr to separate the fact from the fiction related to some of the biggest trending immigration headlines afoot. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah. At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time. Whenever news breaks, while we're on the air, it's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580. And we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you.
The following is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways with the purpose of soliciting sales of vacation ownership. For complete details, please visit fvgradio.com. If you want a 100% complimentary stay at a luxury resort in Cancun, airfare not included, then Family Vacation Getaways is your ticket to paradise. See website for complete details. We're giving away 5 days and 4 nights to the first 50 callers who can name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. An animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. Do you know it? Call now, 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431. You're also eligible for an exciting bonus vacation to Orlando, Florida for just $498. And don't worry about anything ruining your plans. We can extend your travel up to 18 months. Name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird, and get a complimentary Cancun resort stay and an optional bonus vacation to Orlando for just $498. What are you waiting for? Call 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431, and give us your answer. The proceeding is not a contest and is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways, and not sponsored by this program or its affiliates.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833 That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. The Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOT hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hit me! National News, The Consequence. Informed opinion. And analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai and delighted to welcome back to the show Allen Orr. He's the founder of Orr Immigration Law. He is an immigration lawyer, and we enjoy having him come back with us again and again and again to separate the fact from the fiction. Welcome back, Allen.
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
I can.
Good,
Welcome back.
good.
Welcome back.
Thank you for having me. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Thank you for being here. Perhaps a happy Monday for a number of families who have been awaiting this decision. A number of dropped cases against LA protesters, revealing false claims from federal agents. Now, for our audience, we are not surprised that law enforcement officials were making false statements that didn't bear out in the courts. For folks less familiar with this story, U.S. immigration officers made false and misleading statements in their reports about several LA protesters that they arrested during those massive demonstrations that rocked the city in June. This is according to federal law enforcement files obtained by our friends over at The Guardian. Alan, I've got to ask you, what do you make of this, and how much of an issue do you think this is, not just in Los Angeles, but in a number of major cities across the country?
So we all know it's a major issue, right? We've seen the falsification of information, not just with regards to immigrant arrests and protesters, but also to just Black men every day in their cars, as we saw the Jacksonville story last week of an individual. So that's why we have said that if you're a bystander or you're around one of these things, you must record it. That's part of the duty, is to record, and maybe not to intervene, but to record, so that there is survive, be alive, and then tell the story later to get the repercussions that we're seeing now where these cases are dropped. But not only are the cases being dropped, so these are false arrests, false statements, right? So all of those things are done in your professional job, under your oath, and you could be removed from your office. It all might so open you up to lawsuits, but it also hurts the veracity of the police department, meaning that now the stories of these officers who falsify these records is now in question for everything else they plan to do and everything they've done in the past. So that's a larger sort of scope of investigation now, to sort of say, if you're lying now, were you lying before? Have you always been lying? Can I ever trust you again in the future? So it sort of undermines the credibility, and that tells you what type of people they're enlisting right now with HSI or with ICE to do this patrolling, so much that when they get ready to make a report about what happened, they have to lie to make it be substantial enough to process.
Alan, there are reports that the rapid felony dismissals really come off as a major embarrassment for Trump's appointed U.S. attorney for Southern California, Bill Asaley. And it appears to be the result of an unusual series of missteps by the Justice Department. Is this also an example of folks in the job that may not be up to the job?
So I think there's two ways to look at that. And I say the answer is yes. And correctly, yes. But also understand that for those individuals who were charged with a felony, who had to hire lawyers to go to court, they have not been made whole. So the individual protesters are still damaged, right? They may have lost their jobs. They may have lost the ability to have a job. Forever, they're going to always be correcting the record of saying, I was arrested, then this got dismissed, right? It sort of opens up to you having to check a box continually. So let's not just say that it shows the incompetence of those individuals, but let's also recognize the harm to the individuals who are doing their constitutional rights. And hopefully some of them may have claims. It's really hard to file these claims these days with these immunities, may have claims against the government with regards to their jobs, their livelihood, and their reputations.
I mean, you bring up a really good point. I mean, what does it mean to make them whole? These are folks who, were protesting. They were exercising their First Amendment right, and as a result, were hauled off, and were in the process of being charged. And it turns out that they were telling the truth the whole time. And I think
for them to get it dismissed, they had to be before a judge, so they had to be charged. So for them they had to have been arrested and charged. So I mean, that's were you arrested is an application question that you're going to have to answer all times.
So they were arrested, they were charged. What does it look like to make them whole? What are some of the potential remedies that we might see to make them whole?
Yeah, so this is a new area of law that people are going to have to work on, this corrective area, because part of it is restitution, right? It could be financially to make them whole, because in some ways you can't go back and change the record. That's really the problem. Once, Representative John was hit with a brick, Martin Luther King was shot, all these things and stuff, you can't go back and correct that. There's no corrective action to the moment to which you were falsely arrested and put in prison, and no amount of money is going to make you whole for that, and nor is it going to change your reputation in your community if you lost your job. So I think it's very difficult. That's why the standards should be higher in these arrests, specifically with U.S. citizens and protesters, right? They did this as a deterrent to make sure that people who are protesting know that if you say this, then you will get arrested. And then when they arrested these people, they had to lie about what they were doing to get them through the process. At the same time, you have a story in California, I think it is in California, where there are these two landscapers that ran into a medical facility, and the medical facility asked for a warning. They didn't have the warning. They got in the way of this arrest, and now they're being charged with the felony, right? These two healthcare aides in California who were basically at job. Someone, their landscapers ran in. They tried to protect them, asked for a warning. They said no. So what you see from the government is the same thing you see in the immigrant community, is this fear tactic. And what I'm trying to say to you is, I'm not sure exactly how the remedies are going to work out, but you should know what's involved when you take actions of it getting in the way, because the action of getting in the way may cost you something. And that's okay, because it cost Dr. King something. It cost protesters something. It cost John Lewis something. All those people went to jail. All those people have records about it, but it does cost something in those situations.
The Justice Department, these cases were dismissed in the interest of justice. I'd never really sort of seen that kind of language sort of used in the dismissal. How common is that? Or is that something noteworthy?
I think it's pretty common. I think you probably don't get the light where it sees it all the time, but I mean, I'm sure around some of the other protests that happen along the way that it might not have happened, or things that were done inappropriate. Like, for example, they didn't get the Miranda rights or something. There are a lot of times in which that conversation covers a lot of things in general, but it also makes it seem as if it's a blanket dismissal rather than saying to the officers, you really screwed up, right? Mm-hmm. It says the interest of justice, not you didn't do your job the correct way.
Oh, I see. Interesting. In other news, we know that these ICE raids are scaring off LA workers rebuilding some of the fire-torn areas around here. I don't know if you saw this tweet that went viral of basically Stephen Miller tweeting at LA Mayor Karen Bass, really saying that, LA should, already been fixed up from the fires, and because of, the mayor's incompetence, and I'm paraphrasing, incompetence related to managing immigration issues here. That's part of the reason why the federal government's had to act. Look, we know that these ICE raids will continue to have an impact on our local economy, on our economy across the country. Talk to us about why that argument is not cutting through the noise, particularly among Republicans right now. I mean, there are a lot of Republicans that own businesses that run in large part because of cheap labor, the labor of undocumented folks, many of which are in line to be a part of the rebuild of places like Altadena and the Palisades. Talk to us about why this issue isn't making its way to the surface, particularly among Republicans.
So I think let's separate a couple of issues. The first issue that we should talk about is that a lot of the workforce the work site enforcement actions are going down, right? So they're not arresting people at the job. They're arresting people at the immigration courts where they're coming back, or they're arresting people on the streets. And one should ask themselves, why have you changed the procedure in which you're arresting people? And you kind of know why, right? You don't want to have a job. You don't want the owner of the company to be indicted. You don't want to have this sort of smear of this company having undocumented people and open up the liability. So that's one concept that's sort of happening there. Number two, the country was founded on people working, enslaved individuals. It has always been a part of our workforce. It is the reason why we have not had an Immigration Act, because that exists, right? So, it would be foolish of us to think that if we knew there were 11 million undocumented people here, that we don't think they're working in some capacity with everything that some of us do, right? Especially when we see them every place. So if the government wanted to address that, they would give them status so they would have rectification to go to the courts to say, wait a minute, I'm not getting what I need. I need to file a claim. I'm not getting paid the right wages. Wages could be higher. The story that the undocumented people are driving down the minimum wage is something that's peculiar to me, because the minimum wage has been the same for the last 20 years, right? It's been $7.25 or something of that matter. And if Congress wanted to change it, Congress could. And as you've seen, many states have changed it. So if Congress has increased their own wages, then why haven't they increased those wages? So I tell you that to say that it is a choice. It is a knowledge-based decision to look the other direction, because even if President Trump today were able to remove 3,000 people a day, he's still not going to reach 1 million people. He's on target right now to tie, or to just go a little bit above President Obama, which is right around 250, 260,000 individuals in removal for the year. His goal, Stephen Miller's goal, was to do 1 million. So that's that. The next thing that I want to say is we have to move away from this bait and fool conversations. This administration has baited the Democratic Party with undocumented people and immigration for the last 5 years. We need to stop taking that foolishness and change it around. The reason why California hasn't not been rebuilt or isn't being rebuilt has something to do with some of the government funding that happened and some of the government structures that stepped in to overdo rights that were going on in the state, as well as the disruption to the California economy by removing people who are able to work in the California economy. California does not issue passports, nor do they issue visas. So if there are immigrants that are in California that are undocumented, it is the fault of the federal government, not California. So that's rule one basic. So don't point at a mayor and say you're not doing something with immigration when immigration is a federally restricted thing. They don't issue visas and they don't issue passports. So your failure to do your job, which led to the great economy that California has, is not California's fault. It is your fault. So we need to move away from this constant bait from the president, even in Scotland, talking about immigrants and saying all these harsh things. Part of what the Democratic Party, or just a regular American, needs to come back to say is that every immigrant is not that 1% that might have a crime or that was involved in an accident. There are other immigrants that are good immigrants that are doing jobs, that are paying taxes, because once we remove them, we're not going to have the workforce we have right now. And if you look at the age brackets, this is something that Stephen Miller has studied. At the age brackets, most of the people 30 or below are Latino. And when you remove that Latino workforce, you're changing the dynamics of the electorate going forward. And that's the direct disruption they're trying to cause. That's why they're also telling you, if you're in a mixed status family, meaning someone's undocumented, someone is not documented, you both can be removed, so that now you're both out of the country.
More with Allen Orr. He is schooling us on all things immigration, all things that we need to know. When we come forward, more from Allen. Plus, Etsy is facing a user boycott over immigration detention center merch. We're going to get Allen's reaction to that and more. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
The audience is listening. Thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black Colorado coach Deion Sanders says he's cancer-free after battling bladder cancer. Dr. Janik Kukreja led the treatment, which followed a CT scan for another issue.
We performed a full robot-assisted laparoscopic bladder removal and creation of a new bladder, and I am pleased to report that the results from the surgery are that he is cured from the cancer.
57-year-old Sanders will coach the Buffs opener August 29th. Rapper Cardi B is pushing back against an assault lawsuit through her attorney, who says the case was closed years ago due to lack of evidence. The anonymous woman claims Cardi hit her with a microphone during a Vegas show, but police found no grounds for charges. And One Music Fest returns to Atlanta October 25th and 26th for its 16th year, celebrating Black excellence and hip-hop. Co-produced by Live Nation Urban, the fest features Future, Ludacris, Doechii, Mary J. Blige, and more. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
It's a crash in Silver Lake. This is the 101 northbound at Silver Lake Boulevard. 2 right lanes are blocked. That drive loading up out of the downtown area from 4th Street. Southbound slowing down to take a look with a backup from Sunset. Pasadena, it's a crash on the 210 westbound. This is coming up just past Sierra Madre. Now they're holding all lanes right now at Mitchell-Linda. Highway Patrol's running a break to clear this crash out of the left lane. So that's what's happening. And as a result, we are seeing some pretty slow traffic that's backing up all the way out of Arcadia from Santa Anita Avenue. Eastbound delays pushing back from Mountain.
This summer, come aboard Long Beach's iconic Queen Mary. With guided tours, 25-plus exhibits, and decades of history to explore, it's the perfect day out. Make your way to the Queen Mary and experience it all for yourself. For more information, visit queenmary.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
University of Colorado football coach Deion Sanders confirmed Monday morning that he had been treated the past 3 months for bladder cancer. The 57-year-old Sanders had surgery in May to remove his bladder. Doctors treating Sanders said the surgery was successful and that he is now cancer-free. Deion spoke about his condition at a press conference. Today was the first time any information had been revealed about Deion's health. Since May, University of Colorado officials would only say that Deion was away from the team for an undisclosed medical condition. Deion told reporters that he was grateful to get an early diagnosis, which helped his recovery. Deion said he lost 25 pounds, but still intends to coach the team this season. Deion is preparing for his 3rd season at Colorado. Last year, Colorado was 9-4, their best season since a 10-4 finish in 2016. We wish Deion well. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, y'all, come on. Come to drums.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey.
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it. Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power. Fight the power.
It's never too early to start talking about money in realistic ways with your kids. JP Morgan Chase navigates how to educate your kids now about creating long-lasting, healthy money habits. Whether your kids are in elementary school, high school, or college, now is a great time to start a conversation about ways to create healthy money habits as they grow, ultimately benefiting their financial future. Talking about money in a realistic way to support your kids' lifestyle and dreams, your first banking account geared towards high school or college. It's never too early. Explaining the basics, what you earn and what you spend, building financial confidence starts with getting organized. Learning and practicing vital money skills now will stay with them for life. Tools they will have to stay on top of their finances and achieve their goals. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has work source centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to building a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai. He is Allen Orr, the founder of Orr Immigration Law. We enjoy having Allen join us on a regular basis to mainly separate the fact from the fiction. There's so much misinformation out there around all things related to our immigrant communities, our First Amendment rights, and birthright citizenship, right? You see all these buzzwords? We're hearing a lot of gook in these internet streets, and so Allen helps us to sift through the gook. And speaking of gook, Etsy is facing a user boycott over immigration detention center merch. Etsy users are urging customers to boycott the online marketplace after alligator Alcatraz merch was found on its website. The term refers to the Trump administration detention center in the Florida Everglades. Sky News reported that the facility has been compared to a dog cage, with some detainees saying not even sunlight gets in. Allen, what do you make of this?
So I think we should understand that Etsy is a wholesale, I don't even know, of like some place where people who make stuff resell stuff. So it's not a company that made it. It's someone who's selling their merchandise on the website that is producing it. So that's so still problematic that they're allowing someone to put offensive stuff on their website. And that's the problem that sort of people are turning away to say they should sort of boycott. Part of me is torn on this about freedom of the market, let people pick and choose whatever they want to do, and then sort of hold people accountable that sort of choose to wear the merchandise. Just like the tons of people, I have now moved to Florida. There are tons of people who are going to take pictures under the sun going to the facility and then post it as saying that they've been there like it's some landmark or some prize for them to be in.
Like it's Disney World?
Like it's Disney World. So it's challenging to me to police social behavior in such a way that saying remove it is the same thing that they try to do to gays and lesbians and their product in the workplace, to say this is inappropriate. So when you start saying one thing's inappropriate and the next thing is inappropriate, then it becomes problematic. But it is FC is supposed to be a wholesome place. So if it violates their community standards, then it should be removed regardless of what it is, if it's offensive, because I don't think you can sell offensive things on that website. I don't think that it's going to solve for the problem, but I think that it is a message to sort of send. And I think that people have the right, just like with Target and other places, if it isn't not meeting your social, then you get to boycott it for whatever reason you want to boycott it and not spend your money there and not list your product there, as a method of sort of messaging to them to sort of change it.
I mean, is this I'm just going to play devil's advocate, is this sort of taking that argument too far, that argument that we've seen heard with Target, for example, and a host of other retailers? We've even seen this argument used against social media companies like Facebook, and Facebook pushes back and says, wait a minute, it's not our content. We're just a platform. We're just a publisher. Right. And so, you really need to bring that smoke to the people who are actually developing the actual product, the actual thing that's being posted. What do you say in response to folks who put forward that argument that this is the political correct policing again?
I think that's the problem that I sort of sit with a little bit, of sort of saying, if it is offensive, then no one's going to buy it, right? I don't have to sort of challenging those things because it becomes then the tool that they will use against you for whatever product you want to sell to say that that's offensive and that's the problem. And once again, so Target a little bit different because they took a company action towards a policy. This company is just listing products to sell out the door. And I think just like anything that's dangerous or anything that's not safe for kids, if people don't buy it, then they will turn it away and do something else with it. But one of the things I will tell you as I drove down I-75 on my way to Florida, there are Trump stores that exist in Tennessee and other places. So there are places where they can sort of get this merchandise as well as other merchandise that is Trump related. There are Trump merchandise stores in Nashville on I-75 on your way through Georgia where you can just go buy Trump merchandise that says all the things that you think might be offensive in such a crass way. So I don't know if telling someone they can't produce it solves the problem. That's it. Policing in that way opens the door to the policing that happens in other communities. So from a lawyer perspective, from a constitutional perspective, there's a social message that can be sent to say, I'm not going to shop at your store because you have this stuff. But I don't know if saying you can't have this stuff is the right message to the store.
Well, online stores, like you said, they're selling controversial merchandise, and here's Etsy. I mean, I don't know if the alternative is to Etsy, being that they're such a niche platform. But we know that Amazon was also under fire after hosting right-wing militia merchandise and products celebrating QAnon conspiracies. Now, the difference is that they subsequently pulled those products down. And so,
customer response. So those are different things, right? The social answer may be different than the legal answer. And because I'm in the legal lane, I'm telling you what the social response can be, but I'm just talking about what the legal answer is. So the legal answer is, I don't think you should do it. The social answer is, if people don't want to shop there, then don't shop there. But I will say something to Black people and immigrants. It is better to know who someone is than for them to deceive you. And then, so put your merchandise, let me know this is a racist shop. You do racist things. I won't spend my money there. That's fine. You're not going to have me in your shop at all. I'm not getting any dollars there. Rather than say, oh yeah, I'm your friend, like everybody did with DEI and after Black Lives Matter, say they're going to spend all this money and then do nothing. So I'd rather just know where you stand. And if you're that way, that's fine. We can work on it. This whole concept that all of a sudden that people are not going to be racist anymore and that people are not going to sort of have these concepts is foolish. I think it's childish to sort of believe that we're going to have this kumbaya moment in a movie or in 30 minutes we're all going to get together and sing songs and we're going to be happy-go-lucky and fine. No, there are people who believe that. Fine, believe that. Shop at your place, eat at your place. I'm going to go at my place and shop and eat at my place.
Right. And I bet you my food going to be seasoned better than your food.
Exactly.
Well, there's a lot of really great seasoned food, not just here across America, but around the world. So much that Black Americans who moved abroad say that they're happier outside the U.S., saying that it's truly more fulfilling, that it's a richer life. We know that while the U.S. has made progress towards racial equality since Jim Crow, Black Americans still routinely experience racism in social interactions and financial transactions and work environments. I don't need to tell our audience that, but there's an increasing number of Black folks saying, you know what, I'm good. I'm going to go live the expat life. Alan, again, I want to ask you to sort of separate the fact from the fiction. That sounds great. But beyond what meets the eye, what should people be aware of if they're strongly considering living the expat life and being a part of a Black expat community somewhere in the world?
So let me start with a couple of things first. We built this nation, so it's kind of hard to say that you leave, and it's one of the things that you may be able to do to leave away. And actually, this week, there is the 100 convocation of the National Bar Association in Chicago, a city founded by Black immigrants, about justice and rights in this country. So people are fighting to make the change here. And if you think that you have to leave because that's the breath that you lead, it's a thing that you may be able to do. We also know that this ability to be an expat is also related to your social economic class. So what you might be experiencing isn't that it's anti-Black, but it is very positive United States money. And that money and ability that gets you things sort of compensates for the economic or your physical presence of being Black. So we've heard many times people like Oprah Winfrey or the old Bill Cosby that at some point you reach an amount of money where you're no longer Black, you're just wealthy. And I think that a lot of expats are just wealthy. You don't see a lot of Many people don't have the ability to move between states or neighborhoods, much less to move to another country. So that's your economic ability, your social background may be one thing. The concept that racism doesn't exist around the world, may be foolish in some cases, right? So there are places like Portugal and Costa Rica where Americans live fine if you're wealthy, but the concept that you think that you, in the moment when something goes down, that your blackness will not be an issue, maybe something related to the social economic conditions of that time. So like Colombia, places where you can pay money to live. If you're paying $100,000, $200,000 to live in a country, then they don't see you as black, they see you as wealthy. But as soon as that wealth comes to challenge, then let's see what happens. So there have been many cases. I mean, you've heard Tina Turner, you saw James Baldwin. There are anomalies that can find this happiness outside the United States because of their education, their social class, their talent, their skills. But the concept that you're going to walk away from your blackness, I don't know where that happens. So let's say you even move back to the continent. I think that's a great conversation to have in this moment. Even if you were to go back to Ghana, right? The people in Ghana the real people in Ghana are going to welcome you for sure, but they're not going to see you as Ghanaian. You're not going to be exactly just like it is here when black immigrants come to the United States. You're not exactly the same in many ways in nature and tone. And that's not a problem. It's not an issue. We're all related in a certain way. But this concept that you're going to remove yourself from blackness, I don't know where that happens. My experience has been even with expats, even with white nationals that go to other places, Americans are so arrogant in their exceptionalism that even when they present themselves in countries that have a better economic structure than they do, such as Sweden or Switzerland, as far as healthcare, they still run back to think we're the best because we have French fries. When our bridges our infrastructure is falling apart, or whatever, go to Japan where everything is sort of electric and moving and clean, and children are safe to travel on transportation by themselves because people are watching them. And then you still have this that things are better here. So part of me says, the fight should continue here. But if you do choose to move abroad, this concept that isolated individuals are experiencing may be the anomaly, maybe that 1% to 2%, that wealth has shielded them from having those other things because they have a maid, they have all the things where they don't need the sort of social system to exist because they have the money to alleviate things that race sometimes would present to them.
There is an expat quoted in the CNBC.com article that said, quote, "In Costa Rica, I feel that people are treated as human first, because it's not always been my experience in the United States." She goes on to say that I feel like I'm seen as a Black woman first in the U.S., and that doesn't have the positive connotation that it does here in Costa Rica. It seems to me, Alan, that if folks need a little bit of respite, get you a little bit of respite, right? But get your respite with eyes wide open. Yes. The idea that the racism, the sexism, the homophobia that we experience here in the United States stops at our shores is foolish.
Yeah. And you should also note that in Costa Rica, the people are extremely well educated. Not to say that education removes racism, but it does help. And because of their coffee export, one of the things that they provide is free education to all of the children of Costa Rica. So there's a little bit of a global educational level that's higher than here in the United States because it's free.
Our thanks to Allen Orr for making it plain. And in case you are out there thinking about living that Black American expat life, I'm sure we've given you a little food for thought. When we come forward, it's time for the quiet part out loud. ProPublica is reporting that social media posts are leading to criminal charges under Tennessee's school threats law. We're going to tell you all about that when we come forward. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
You have cancer. The 3 words no one wants to hear. Of the cancers that impact our community, lung cancer is the most dangerous. More people succumb to lung cancer than colon, breast, and prostate combined. Black men are 12% more likely to develop lung cancer, and cases for Black women are rising. Early detection and comprehensive treatment is the best way to beat this dreaded disease. Providence is a research leader in multi-cancer early detection, offering blood tests that identify fast-spreading cancers that don't show symptoms in early stages. The Providence Los Angeles Integrated Network Cancer Program determines best protocols for each patient interacting with specialists who share experiences, perspectives, and new findings specific to each case. With over 1,000 board-certified physicians, including top oncologists, surgeons, radiologists, and nurse specialists, Providence delivers whole-person care that understands your culture, values, preferences, and priorities. So, if you hear the words, "you have cancer," all you need is faith and providence.org/cancer.
During this time, it's important for everyone to know your rights. The 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendments in the U.S. Constitution protects every one of us, regardless of immigration status. The 4th Amendment requires a judicial warrant to search your home. The 5th protects your right to remain silent. And the 6th gives you the right to an attorney. Just remember,
no warrant, no key, my privacy. You don't have to speak. No lawyer inside. Don't say a thing. Yeah, we all got right.
Hey, we all got right. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach, transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal, prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
We face tragedy, but we don't fall into despair. We continue our work to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580, and have a little bit of breaking news to share with you. The Guardian is reporting that the New York police are responding to reports of a shooter amid a shelter-in-place warning. The New York police responded this evening to reports of a suspect possibly armed on Park Avenue in Manhattan. Officials were warning that those who are in the vicinity to shelter in place. Two senior New York City officials told sources that at least one police officer and another person were shot. Police warned folks to avoid the area in a social media post that was posted shortly before we went on air. Eric Adams, the New York mayor, confirmed the active shooter and urged precaution, saying, quotes, New Yorkers, there is an active shooter investigation taking place in Midtown right now. Mayor Adams wrote in a post, quote, please take proper safety precautions if you're in the vicinity and do not go outside. Do not go outside if you're near Park Avenue and East 51st Street. To all of our leaders, learners, and listeners that are streaming in New York, please heed this message. For those of us that have friends and family that live in New York, send them a text in case they're unaware of what's happening. This is rush hour. There are a lot of people that are leaving work, and there are a lot of folks in town just enjoying the city. And so if we get any more fresh information on this, we'll be sure to share it with you while we're live on the air. But speaking of school shootings, a middle school cheerleader made a TikTok video portraying a school shooting. Guess what? They were charged with a crime. ProPublica is reporting that one afternoon in mid-September, a group of middle school girls in rural East Tennessee, they decided to film this TikTok video while waiting to begin cheerleading practice. And the 45-second video posted later that day, one girl enters the classroom holding a cell phone. Put your hands up. That's what she says, while a classmate flickers the lights on and off. And as the camera pans across the classroom, several girls dramatically fall back on their desk or the floor and lie motionless, pretending they were killed. When another student enters and surveys the bodies on the ground in a poorly, looking display, there are a few folks in the video that managed to suppress their giggles. And throughout the video, which ProPublica did obtain, a line of text reads, "To be continued." Penny Jackson's 11-year-old granddaughter was one of the South Green Middle School cheerleaders who played dead, and she said the co-captains told her what to do as she did it, unaware of how it would be used. The next day, she was horrified when the police came to the school to question her and her teammates, and by the end of the day, the Greene County Sheriff's Department charged her and 15 other middle school cheerleaders with disorderly conduct for making and posting the video, standing outside the school's brick facade. There was a whole press conference that took place, and officials there said that the girls had to be, quotes, held accountable through their court system and to show that this type of activity is not warranted. It's important that people know that you can't just go out and post just any old thing you want. Just like you can't just jump up in a movie theater and yell fire. I mean, there are consequences to these things. And I think sometimes when folks are posting on social media, folks are doing it for play. And they forget there are real world consequences, so let this story be a cautionary tale. Let it be a cautionary tale to, all the folks that forget that social media is a real thing. Obviously with the news afoot in New York, earlier today I read about a shooting at a casino in Nevada. There's a clear and present danger when it comes to these mass shootings. They have not lessened over the years. They have increased over the years. And so let's exercise better judgment and encourage our young people to do the same. When we come forward, we're switching gears. In our next hour, I'm really delighted to welcome a debut director, an award-winning director, I should say, of a film called The Life Coach. We're going to talk all about that with Patricia Babia. And we'll also bring you some important headlines on the arts and culture front, including news about Beyonce. You don't want to miss it. You're listening to and streaming a More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams says the NYPD has taken 3,000 illegal guns off of New York City streets this year.
And we accomplished that task because if guns are not on the street, they cannot be used to harm innocent people.
Hours later, after that announcement, 4 people were shot in the Bronx near the Dominican parade route. All victims are recovering as police continue to search for suspects. President Trump has falsely claimed Beyonce was paid $11 million to endorse Kamala Harris and